Hey, Shane Brayman here with Adventure ADHD Coaching, and I wanted to put out a quick video for parents of college students with ADHD or for the college student themselves with ADHD. And statistics show that over 40% of ADHD individuals will fail out or drop out of college in their first semester. And in my experience, the majority of my clients that I work with who have left college or dropped out of college, failed out, they are generally in their first semester of their sophomore year. It feels as though they're able to grind through that freshman year, get their more basic classes out of the way, and they make it through, but the way they explain it is they're just coasting on fumes by the end of that first freshman year. And then by the middle of their first semester of their sophomore year, they hit a breaking point and they are overwhelmed and realize they're not going to be able to pull this off. And there's a number of ways that they handle it. I have a client right now who's on a medical waiver who left school due to her ADHD. I have a client who hit his breaking point. The anxiety and stress due to his ADHD and the academic environment pushed him to a breaking point that nobody saw coming, including himself, and he literally just packed up his bags and went home. I work with another client who failed out and knew he was not going to make it through his freshman year, but didn't tell his parents until it was too late and there was no place left to run and hide. So there's a number of ways that the ADHD individual handles this situation, this breaking point. But the importance of this video is that I want parents to know, well, one, the statistic that if you have an individual, a son or daughter with ADHD going to college, there's a very good chance that they are not going to complete their college education in 4 years. It took me 3 tries to get my first degree, and it wasn't until my 30s when I finally achieved that with a diagnosis and medication. But it's important for parents to understand this, not simply from a relationship standpoint with their child, but from a financial standpoint. And I've worked with families and helped them get their tuition back, and helped families with their son or daughter's GPA to make sure that their academics aren't ruined. And that's the importance of actually having a diagnosis. With the diagnosis, you can receive some benefits, and universities have dealt with this thousands of times, and they are fully aware of the severity of ADHD and the college experience, and they're obviously aware of the statistics. And if you handle it correctly, and if you educate your son or daughter to handle it correctly, if this happens, then it's going to be much easier for them to save their GPA, and for you as parents to get your tuition that's been paid back. And I've done it from, like I said, different avenues, but it's much easier when the university is aware that the individual has ADHD or an ADHD diagnosis, and when the student themselves are aware of the pitfalls, and they're aware that if this does happen, that they need to handle it properly. Even in the worst case scenarios, we've had success, but that really is leaving it up to the university at that point, and it's a much more laborious process if you don't have that knowledge prior to the breakdown and the student leaving the university. So again, there's numerous ways that it can be handled. There is a medical withdrawal, and you can put your education on hold, so to speak, and go back at another time when things get aligned. A lot of the clients that I work with, parents will find me when their son or daughter ends up moving back home and informs them that either they failed out of school or they're not going back to school. And a lot of times the individual doesn't see it coming, and the parents generally, majority of the time, do not see it coming. And it's a shock to the system, and that's when they find me, and then we have to kind of go back and work through a lot of things. But as far as from a financial standpoint, that's where I have to grind it out with the university and the parents, and then we have to get physicians involved and all of those things. So just be prepared. If it does happen and you find this video after the fact, know that if you contact the school, even if it's handled in the worst manner possible, which, let's say your son or daughter shows up 3 weeks before the semester is over and they show up at home and tell you that they've just walked away from school and they can't handle it, they can't do it. The sooner you can contact the university, obviously the better. But don't give up, and find someone who can work with you, like an ADHD coach. Contact the university, contact your physician, and communicate. Communication is key, and it is possible to get your tuition refunded and to get your son or daughter hopefully to a place where they're ready to go back to school at some point. That may not happen for years, that may not ever happen. A lot of ADHD individuals will never go back to school because of the trauma and the stress that they experienced when they were younger. So hopefully you can get your money back. Hopefully your son or daughter's GPA will not be permanently affected, because that's another hurdle added onto their educational path, that when they see that they have a 1.3 GPA because they walked out on 4 classes, whatever it is, and ended up with Fs, they're not going to grind through to try to overcome that. So we really want to help them, the students, make sure that they handle it the right way. So even if they do have to leave, they're not making long-term or having a long-term devastational impact on their educational experience. So please reach out if you have questions, thoughts. It's something that I deal with on a regular basis, and it has a dramatic impact on a person's future. So it's one of the most important pieces for that college age individual, seniors in high school about to go into college. If you have questions or thoughts, please reach out. www.adhdadventure.com. That's adventure with 2 Ds. And hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.